Hello? Yep, this is Max. I know. Well, it's time to fix the rust. Well, I have a plan. The first step, I'll neutralize the rust that's there. The second step, I'll make up some custom panels. The third step, I'll weld on the custom panels and the new panels. The fourth step, I'll try to put it all together and make it look pretty. I know. Well, I think I can do it. Okay, goodbye. Okay, so now I've applied some rust converter. The first thing we're going to want to address when we're rebuilding this is this section here. I'm going to mark out how much I'm going to want to take out. I think I'm going to take it to about there. This piece is a section just like that. You can see there how it comes down and over. So I'll have to cut this back and grind it back. So I very carefully cut that piece out there and cleaned it up. And here is our replacement section for that piece. So I've ordered a whole section, but we won't be using the whole section. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out what we need out of this to replace what we cut out. So here's where we're at. I think we're going to end up doing this in two sections here, because I think it'll be quite a bit easier. And then I can weld that on, and then we can address this section. Looking good. Now we can get this section on. I had to sort of change the section of this box because the replacement piece didn't actually fit quite right. So this is what we got going on. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it all up after I do a little bit more cleaning to make sure the welds bond. And all done and welded. So now I have to cut here and then bend this lip all the way back in and weld it so that this creates a ended section here. So that's what the end looks like. What we need to do now is we need to take out these brackets, these support brackets. Now, the reason why we're going to do that is because we are going to go a little bit down a different route and add this piece to the car. The only way to get this to fit is to get those pieces out. This will make this whole system quite a bit stronger. All those brackets are out. They're a huge pain. I had to drill them all out. But now we're all clear. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, prep it, and get ready to install this piece. This is what it will look like. You can see there. We got a couple tacks on it. It's looking pretty good, so now I'm going to go ahead and weld the whole thing on. Wish me luck. Alright, so we've got that section on. It's all welded on. All the welds bonded. Now, we are going to want to tidy up this section. So how this is going to work, I need to cut this at that angle of the body, and then I'm going to need to extend this out also at that angle of the body with a piece, and then there'll be an outside piece here that goes along and connects all of this together. So this is what the new panel of the first section will look like. I'm going to go ahead and weld this on and see what it looks like. That's a weld through primer. Alright, that's the piece. On to the next step. These cars are designed a little bit weird in this area, so we have to make a panel that extends from, there's a piece down in here, you can see that has to be flattened out, and it comes down here like this. I'll try to draw the imaginary route up in here, and it connects to there and along here. That's going to be one big piece in there, and it welds up to the bottom right here, and that will seal this area, and then on top of that goes the middle sill. So here's a little insight on how I've been making these panels. So you can see up in there the piece it needs to connect to, just like that. So it's going to look something a little bit like that. Yeah, the cars are a little odd in the way that it has just this one piece. Alright, so I got this piece all tacked down, and on the back side there's a galvanized coating, so we should be all sealed on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and weld it all down. That's going to be welded along here, up and around. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that section is now all the way on and painted up with some galvanizing paint. Now we move on to the middle sill. So because of the budget, I'm going to have to make a middle sill. So the way this works is the middle sill comes down off this ledge here, straight down, and then over here, and it supports the inner floor effectively, where the door is. Comes down here, comes down just like that, and then goes in just like that, and it connects to this bottom lip here. So I have to make a big box section effectively, that runs this whole length, and it connects back there, and it connects in a very convoluted way up here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that, and I'm going to show you what that looks like when I'm done. Okay, so this is where we're at. This is the middle sill. I had to make this by hand. I had to use 3 sections of 22 gauge steel, and I had to bend it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it bends here. Here's the lip where it will be spot welded. It comes down. This is where the top of the rocker is. It comes down here, and then it gets bent again where it forms up to the edge up in there. I don't know if you can see that right in there, and that will be spot welded on there. So these are the sections that were the most difficult to make work, because the way the car is it comes straight and then it folds in, so you have to sort of match that curve in. Let's have a look at the inside, so you can really start to get a sense for how it curves in into that section there, just like that. So apart from all the fabricating, what I've done for a coating is this is a POR 15 coating, a sealer, and then underneath that there's a galvanizing coating spray. And I have not put on a galvanizing coating spray along here where the spot welds are going to be. On here is a weld through primer. So it's coated, it shouldn't rust, and it's trying to avoid as much as possibility of rusting with the weld through primer here. All right, let's get this on the car and let's see what it looks like. Middle sill that we custom made is now attached, welded on. It's all welded on the front, spot welded along the top here, and along the bottom, and along the back. With that done, now we can get into putting the rocker panel on the car. We can kind of understand how the rocker panels fit. So this is our rocker panel. It fits basically like that. And then the way these cars work is there's an additional plate that goes in there just like that. I've already made up the plate, but it goes in there and it connects the seam here between the rocker panel and the rest of the car, and it gets spot welded to the middle rocker. So I'm going to go and mock everything up and prep it and see what it looks like all mocked up and tacked on. All right, so I put the rocker on and it looks great. The door needs to be a little bit more perfectly aligned, but it is all looking great so far. There's spot welds on there. It's not spot welds holding that piece in. This section will be under a vanity plate, so you won't actually see that. So I'm gonna go ahead now, prep this with paint and then weld it on, and then we can see what it looks like when it's all welded on. Here's the rocker panel all welded on. We've got a nice seam weld along here and then spot welds along here. I've only put along the bottom one little spot weld because I want to be able to move it in and out depending on how these back panels fit up. The next step is to get this front panel on. Also, as a reference, I have coated the inside of this panel so it's all rust proofed. So no, it is not just bare metal on the inside. So I'm gonna get the front panel mocked up, and then before it goes on, I'll show you what it looks like tacked on, and then we'll get it on and see what it looks like. Here's a little behind the scenes of what the corner looks like here before we put this panel on. And I gotta say, looks pretty good, pretty happy with that. And also, for reference, all of these panels before they were welded on were coated with a zinc coating on the backside, and they were also coated with a sealer on the backside as well. So there's only so much you can do in terms of sealing the metal from rust once you've welded it, because the welds will burn away some of the coating. So there's only so much you can do, but overall, very happy with the way that's looking. Got it all tacked on here, looking pretty good. Not perfect, but really pretty good. So the one issue I ran into is this line goes out and I just cut it straight, so I'm gonna have to fill that. That will be just a little bit of a challenge to get that filled without blowing right through it, but I think I should be able to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all welded on, including these spot welds here, and then we can see what it looks like. All right, so it's all welded, looking really good. The panel didn't warp too badly. I'm gonna go ahead and grind down the welds and we'll see what it looks like when it's all cleaned up. That's all cleaned up. This is all ready to now have some filler put on it. Now we can get ready to do the back section here. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and tack that on. Let's see what that'll look like. Got a little bit more of a gap up in here than I really had anticipated and that I want, but I think I should be able to get it on there. I'm gonna go put this all on, weld it all on, and then we will see what it looks like. All right, I got it all welded on. Not a lot of warping. So next step, I'm gonna cut these welds back and then get ready to put some filler on. The filler has been applied. It's all fair and smooth. I opted to not go for the seams here because the seams, when I welded it up, didn't look entirely pretty. So I sanded them down and filled them, and it should look better. I've seen about half the cars with them filled and about half of them with the seams, so this is the way I'm going to do it. So now I'm going to mask it all up, spray some primer on it, and then we can have a look at how good of a job we did. Primer looks great. It's all super fair and smooth. I did about 2 coats of primer. I've left it in primer because we need to fix the section above the rear wheel well here. So here's the plan to fix this. This is 2 layers. You can see it in there. See down in there and down in there. So we need to replace the inner layer, and then we need to replace the outer layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut this out larger and cut it down in here and peel it off the inner layer so that I can have enough room to weld in a new piece of inner section, and then I can weld on a new piece of outer section. Let me show you what that looks like. This is a new outer section with the wheel well. Will fit on there just like that. Obviously I'll cut it back. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out, and then we'll have a look at what that looks like before I fit in a new intersection. All right, so I was able to cut that out carefully without cutting into the inner fender. So here's the section of what I've cooked up. That'll fit, I'll get that to fit a little bit better. This is actually a Mazda Miata fender I'm reusing, and I'll use for the inner. So I'm gonna go tack this on. We can see what it looks like tacked on, and then we will see what it looks like all the way on. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of filling in there, that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this all on, and then we'll see what it looks like. So that section's now welded on, looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and get this covered in protective paint, and then I'm gonna make this section up, and we will see what that looks like. All right, there's the new panel all tacked on. Fitment is, it's okay. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments because some of the lines don't line up perfectly. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and weld this on, and we will see what it looks like. These are probably some of my best welds yet. I got it spot welded up and underneath there as well. Now I'm gonna grind this back. We'll have another look, and then I'll put some filler on it. Sanded it down pretty close. Let's throw some filler on it and see how close we can get. Got that all faired up. I'm gonna go ahead and put some primer on this section and match it up with the primer over here. This looks absolutely phenomenal. Really happy with the way that it came out. And as you can see, I have the rest of the car prepped for paint. So my theory is that this car will need like a really nice proper paint job at some point. But until then, I want to drive the car, and I want it to be all the same color. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple spray paint job. This gets us pretty close, and the truth is that the paint jobs on these cars from the factory were not that amazing. They didn't even have clear coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some paint on it, and then we'll see what that looks like when I'm done. Really excited. This little attachment, so useful. Coat number 2. Code number 3. Okay, so the paint is dry, and it honestly looks better than I expected. I put the door on to have a look at the seams and double check them, and double check the door opens and closes. All works perfectly. I also threw some paint on the door to cover up some of the primer that was never painted from the prior repair. Yeah, I mean, I've never done this before, so it's very encouraging to see the fruits of the labor that I put in. I was fairly worried that there was a possibility that I would do all this work and it wouldn't come out that well. But I'm happy to say that I'm proud of the way this looks, and I'm happy that I could share that with y'all. So the good thing is that I'm gonna spare you guys the time by watching me do this all over again, and I have already fixed the other side. So the car's rust is all fixed. It's all been thoroughly done. It's all been properly done, and it took quite a while, but it is all done. So we're very close to being able to drive this car. There's a bunch of little things that need to be done before we can, though. In the next episode, we address all those little details and we drive the car. That is incredibly exciting. I have some big plans for when I'm driving it and what I'm going to do with it. So if you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see the end of this project, please subscribe and follow along for the next episode. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon and it's linked in the description. If you want to follow my Instagram, it's linked in the description. And thank you for watching. This has been super fun, learned a whole lot. I hope I could share what I'm learning with y'all to help y'all learn as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode.